Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to What's the Tea with Anew. My name is Angela Davis. I know it's been a while since you've seen my face, but we are back with another episode. And remember that it is once a month now. So I know y'all been anticipating this month episode. So make sure you share this video, tell your friends, tell your coworkers to tune in because we have someone very, very, very special with us today. We have Officer Valentine. Hi, how are you?
Hi everyone, how are you?
So, what's been going on? So, you are with the sixth district, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
So I'm with the sixth district. It consists of Auburn, Gresham, Chatham area. So we run from about like 75th to I would say 95th in some areas, and a little bit past Cottage Grove as far as East Side, and then a little bit past Damon. So I think it's different areas. It's like Hermitage or Honor, just depending on where you fall.
okay. So, can you give me a little bit more about your position? How long you've been with the sixth district?
So I've been with the sixth district for 4.5 years now, going on five.
Okay.
Well, it'll be 5 years in April, actually. Um, and I have been on regular patrol, and I've worked inside as far as working as the secretary for the lieutenant. And now my current position right now is the youth officer. And so that just basically entails um, making connections and community connections with people in our community for the youth, bringing resources to our community through events for our youth, and bridging the gap between police officers and our youth is basically the like general synopsis of what I do.
Wow. So, it is Women's History Month. So, this is the
Yes.
perfect time to have you. So, it seems that you moved around a little bit within, the district and you learned a lot of different skills and things.
Yes.
So, would you say that the position you hold now is one of your favorites, or do you not really have one?
No, I would definitely say this is my favorite by far. I mean, because you got to think of how much you're helping a particular group, and I feel like we have to connect with our youth more than anything to get this barrier across. If you start at a younger age, it's definitely bridging that gap before it gets to a point where they're not trying to hear us anymore. Yeah. So
Right.
I love my position.
Yeah, that's good. So, have you found so pretty much you find it more rewarding than a struggle to be able to connect with your student, well, with the youth that you work with?
Yeah, because I feel like it's way more hands on. When you're an officer on a beat, you're going from call to call. You know, you could follow up with those people or whatever the case may be, but it's something out of your retrospect that you wouldn't normally do. Versus me, my job is to follow up, versus and or make these connections, make them everlasting. You can always run into those officers on the street, and that doesn't take it away from them. But I feel like this gives me a better opportunity to build solid rapport with you, with parents, with community members, and anybody else that might need bridging that gap between police officers and the community.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think being able to work with the youth, you all can get a better understanding of each other. Because
Right.
which we talk about, there's a lot of, misconceptions that a lot of the youth have. And so that's good that you all are being able to connect because your resources and your services are still needed within the community. And with the youth being our future, it's like, come on, we got to work together some type of
Yeah.
way
Mm-hmm.
to get somewhere.
Agree. And if I know part of me and wanting to become an officer was the appearance that I have from, or the demeanor that I have of a officer and how they should be. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but
No,
for
it
me, it
does.
was how they were presented to me. So I feel like if I present myself best foot forward to these youth, that that gives them the interpretation of this is how an officer is supposed to act versus what they see on TV or what they heard from people who have had bad interactions with us. I can disform that misconception that they might have already in their mind.
And I was definitely going to ask, did you always know growing up that you wanted to be an officer or as?
Oh, no, not
Okay.
at all. My godfather actually was a detective. And he, I was actually out of state when this first happened, when the program started, or when I started the program rather. So he was out of town. I was out of town, and he was in Chicago. And he called me. He's like, "Hey, you're getting older. This is a career. You know, I don't see why not. You're in the legal field," because at the time I was a paralegal. And he's like, "I think it'll be a great opportunity." And he didn't lie. I mean, it's been very helpful for my opportunity. I'm back at school. I'm actually doing a master's in criminal law right now.
Okay.
And so I've definitely, I feel much more fulfilling and influential in my community more now than ever.
Yeah.
Just because I know I'm actually helping people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely that's dope. And it's good that look, connections is always good, and being able to have that person, really guide you, like, come on, like, nope, come check this out. You already kind of in that field, in the legal field, just give it a try. And that's good. Were you nervous? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, at first it was kind of like, so you want me to do what? And also, like, just like physicals and stuff, like the physical part of it. I'm like, okay. And, it's just a whole demeanor because, I grew up in K-Town. So I grew up around the stuff that I see on a regular day basis. And I'm, not having to be engulfed in it again in a different type of situation. Like, you gotta think, like, I got family members that might have been, you got people that you grew up might have been, and you don't want to put yourself in those type of situations because you don't know what you would do. But I feel like it was the best choice for me. And I've noticed, like, I've ran into people in high school that really actually respect it. They like, I was at work in Walgreens at a part-time, and I ran into a friend from high school, and we were just, chopping it up, exchanging information or whatever, just reconnecting. And I had a guy who was off his meds come in, and he was getting very irretolerable,
Right.
and just being super, disruptive. And I had to escort him out. And he was talking to her. He was like, "You see her? She did all this." She was like, "No, but I see what you did too." And so it made a difference to me because now they see, like, when there's somebody that they actually know and care about,
Right.
that, it ain't always just us. It's sometimes the situation gets to something bigger than what it is. And the person is actually wrong. Not saying that it's always like that, but it's different when you see your friend going through it.
Did you have to deal with a lot of like shady comments or smart remarks about you being an officer from friends and family?
Not really. Well, a little bit. It's always that going joke, "Oh, I can't do that because you're around," or whatever. But outside of that, not really. I mean, most of the family members, I mean, I feel like we're super accepting, and super willing to, like, and adjust it accordingly, and very supportive. I don't have that many family members actually here, so it's even like better. But still, just people I grew up with, even the people I grew up with that I consider family, yes, they were like super supportive.
That's good because like in our community, it's a lot that could be said.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of and I know other if it wasn't you, maybe somebody else in the 6th district had to deal with it. I'm sure other officers.
Oh, yeah. I've heard stories from other officers about, family just they having to disconnect and be away from family because they just feel like, oh no, you too much on the other side and all this other stuff. But I personally know I didn't have to experience any of that.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So I definitely want to just get a little bit of background, so our audience can get to know you more. So I know that a few weeks ago, we conducted the Teen Dating Violence 101 webinar. So in the area that you work in or with the individuals that you may encounter or work with, have you seen a rise in domestic violence or teen dating violence?
Yes and no. So we're gonna say yes because unfortunately for our community, and when I say our community, not just the area in which I work in, I'm gonna say the African American culture, there is a huge rise in domestic violence. Um, no, because it's so much that is unreported. Um, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, I think people are at home with their offenders due to COVID, um, and they know that they have no choice in some situations but to be at home with their offender because of COVID. You know what I mean? We have people who have been who are immigrants over here, and have deal with a whole swath of like things that I can only pour my heart out to, as far as passports being detained and taken away from them. So it's a lot that goes on that I feel like, you know, that has to do so much more with domestic violence than what we know of. But again, yes and no. Yes,
Right.
it's
No,
not
that's
always on a high
understandable.
rise. And no, we don't have actual numbers, unfortunately, because, you know, we get those people who don't report and or don't want anything to do with the police or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely understandable. And that's what, when we're talking about domestic violence or teen dating violence, we have to let people know the stats that we're reporting are just from the people that reported it. Imagine
Right.
everybody else that has not reported it due to different dynamics that you've named.
Yeah.
So you brought up a good point, which was, victims or survivors being at home with their offenders, especially during the pandemic. So was it kind of not silent, but as far as domestic violence, was it like stagnant to where you all weren't getting a lot of calls, or were you all getting a lot more calls in the beginning?
I would say we were getting a lot more calls in the beginning. I am the sub chair for DVLO. But I would say that domestic violence liaison, I would say that we were getting um, probably less calls, but bigger incidents, if that makes sense. So, like, to the point that, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, and now I'm finally going to call because now I'm really hurt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or things along those lines, or people really looking for situations because they had came out with so many programs during COVID for um, for victims to get out of their situation. They were trying to come up with these programs because they know they were stuck in these situations. Because you had to think at the time, they were trying to do the evictions and all that type of stuff. They were putting a stop and a hold on everything during this time, and so we got those type of calls like okay, it might have happened last week, this
Yeah.
happened this week, and now it's Friday, and I'm really hurt, and I really got, what I'm saying, I can't move, and I need y'all to come. So it's been an up and a down toss around. It's no way to really pinpoint it, unfortunately, and it's sad because you try to. Um, I know I had got a lot of teen dating stuff because they were home from school. They're homeschooling. You know what I'm saying? And parents are gone to work. They think they can leave their kids by themselves. And, situations come where, okay, boyfriend's visiting girlfriend because they're both at home from school. And now we have the situation.
Wow.
So it's just those type of incidents that has had been occurring or whatever. I would say has gotten better as COVID has diminished and they start letting kids
Right.
back into schools.
Wow, that's really interesting. And again, it's great that this DV subcommittee has been formed, to build these relationships and things of that nature so that they know they have someone they can reach out to. Because a lot of times youth don't know who to talk to. They don't want to talk
Yeah.
to whoever their guardian is, they don't want to talk to anyone sometimes because they feel a lot of people don't understand. So having someone that maybe look like them or they think is in the age range of them or, can really understand where they're coming from, I think that's really, really like helpful for them.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of students, especially our high school students. Shout out to Ref Ellison; they just shouted me out last week. But our high schools, and especially in this community, are awesome when it comes to police. I feel like they're super open to us if we're open to them, um, and we have such a good rapport versus what I hear about in other districts and other areas. I am so appreciative of my kids. I want y'all to know that. um, and I do feel like they, in some sort of fashion, respect me and see me as that mentor, and will talk to me about whatever situation they're going through.
Yeah, because especially when we're asking students, who's your safe person? Who can you trust? Oh, I don't trust nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no
Mm-hmm.
safe person. And it's like you got to have one person, and it's cool to have your friends. But if we're the same age and we both in high school, it ain't much probably you could tell
You
me.
can tell me. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they do that though. It's funny listening to them, listening to the girls especially pick each other's brains about situations like you guys have no clue. But it's okay. I'm gonna let y'all have
Right.
it.
Right. No, I definitely get that. So being an officer, not only in Chicago, but working with youth, working, in the DV subcommittee, all of these things, what do you feel are some misconceptions that people have regarding law enforcement, or maybe law enforcement and DV, or just in general? What are some things that you see?
It's a whole list. For one, just because you call first does not mean that the other person get arrested. That's like top 10. No, we gonna figure it out. You call for a service. Doesn't mean that you was not the offender. Okay, we
Right.
have to make that
Okay.
no. And then when we go on these deeper calls, just because it's a female officer and it's a female victim, don't mean we gonna believe the female. Especially in these opposite sex relationships, it's not, no, we just don't take her side just because she's female. Totally misconstrued. And then also, the you've been here so many times, we don't care no more. No, you call us 50 times. We still got a job to do. So I don't care if you called me last week and he smacked you and you said no report today. Today is a new day, whatever the case may be. If you call me for service, I'm going to come and I'm going to help you. So I feel like they think because they've been going through these situations, no one cares about them. But that's the problem. You feel like no one cares about you, and we actually do care. We give a whole lot of care. I was going to say something else, but we care a lot. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just it's hurtful to feel like you feel like that me as a person that's supposed to be here to help you will not help you because you called so many times. No, not true. Not negative. Okay. So those I would say are the top three. Especially when it comes to domestic violence that I feel like are misconstrued. And no, not every officer is from the suburbs or grew up in a good area. And that part, I grew up in Cape
Right.
Town. I
So
don't.
they
I
feel
grew
like
up out
you
west.
you don't
Okay.
understand or something. Right.
Yes, I completely
Yeah.
understand. There's been times when
Yeah.
I've been without and everything. I'm normal. I'm human. My mom was a single mom for a long time. Same thing. Okay.
Yeah. And no, it's really important that you speak about this as well, because again, you all don't always get to voice your opinions or how you feel or how certain comments or misconceptions can make you feel. And I think it's really important for individuals to know domestic violence is not just a man's issue. Like women can be offenders as well. So many times I gave presentations and I'm having young girls tell me, I'm the abuser in my relationship, like I'm supposed to give them a trophy or something, like
that's nothing to be proud of.
Exactly. So, of course, when we're speaking about domestic violence, it's like the men, they kind of shut down because it's just like they think that we're just gearing it all to them. No matter what the statistics say, again, men are least likely to report the abuse. So it's just a lot of different dynamics that play a role in this. And like you said, you all do care. All people, they're their own person. All people we get are different, but like you said, you have a service to do. And again, it's important for individuals to know that you all are still a great resources because you are the first responder to the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like, I feel also that a lot of people take stuff and they don't understand how the dynamics work. I mean, I had a guy, me and my partner used to go see every other week, and he was getting abused by his baby mama so bad, and he just felt like he could just not do the baby without her, and that's why he did not want her arrested. And I had to tell him, like, we have so many resources and things that can help you. I'm not saying that it's not going to be hard by any means, but there are people that are willing to help you get through this, because she's not being helpful by abusing you. She's tearing up your mental health, not only physically, but she's tearing up your mental health mentally. And the baby is around all of this. And growing up in that environment is not going to make it any better. So just putting it in retrospect for him, he was able to understand, and he finally got her arrested. But she already had a background for being somebody else. She was on probation. It was just a lot going on. So
a lot.
I just feel like, guys, they deter from calling the police on females because of that stereotypes or whatever the case may be. And I just hope that, you hear this, that you won't, please call, because it happens to y'all too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you too for sharing that story so people can really get a understanding of what that may, look like, because children and finances and even love are some of just a few reasons why a person would not leave, so I'm glad that you were able to talk to him, and he and that's the hard part about it. You can have all the resources, give it to him, but if that person isn't ready, that's the hard part as an advocate, that you have to, you can't force them. Like, I'm about to drag you out your house. Let's go. You can't do it. And that could be the hard part, especially if it's a friend or a family member.
Right.
So again, it is Women's History Month. So shout out to us. So when you think of Women's History Month, what's one word that comes to your mind? Like, what do you think of when you think of Women's History Month?
I always think about resilience. I just feel like watching my mom, watching like just these different situations, or when I go to these calls, it is just so much that women go through. And not to say nobody else doesn't, but women go through so much, and they always seem to bounce back. It does not matter the situation. And I just feel like maybe it's because of the nurturing instinct that we are provided in as women, that we have inside of us, is that we will go through like hell and high waters and be able to bounce back from that and still be a good person, still be a mother, a sister, whatever it calls to be for that person, and be that nurturing instinct to somebody. And that is crazy to me, like that we can go through so much and still have that in us.
Yeah, it's like you look up and be like, dang, how did I even make that happen? Like, how, and that's a great word. That's one of my favorite words to use, is just resilience, because it just speaks, it speaks for itself. So yeah, I definitely think that's a great word. Another word that I think of course, with Women's History Month, I think of beauty, because there's beauty in the woman, the things that we are able to take on, and the spirit that we still have to give above all else, and it's like it's interesting, because as a woman, we no shade to the men, but we gotta keep going. Like, we have no choice.
No choice.
We have no choice but to keep going, and just like the woman is the one who is creating, which is beautiful. We are able to create, and it's just a lot. So it's like, shout out to the women, for those that are working hard, those that feel that they are struggling and there is no tomorrow. look up resilience and keep that in the
Resilience.
back. Yeah.
Keep it on.
Yes,
I know
we
it's been
got
some
this.
situations too. This month is
Yeah.
spent. I've been like, oh,
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're finishing up, I do want to ask, well, first, is there anything else you'd like to share? Or if there is someone watching today that would like to contact you for more information or more resources, how could you be contacted? Whether it's you, whether it's someone in the 6th district, how could you all be contacted?
For sure. So, I mean, you can always contact me. I'm at the 6th District Station. You can call here directly. It's going to be 312-745-3641. And you can ask to speak to Officer Valentine. My email is Diana, DIANA, Valentine, VALENTINE, at chicagopolice.org. So I can be contacted both those ways. And I mean, no matter what area you live in, if you're a part of the Chicago area, if you feel comfortable talking to me after hearing this, I can at least point you in the right direction or give you resources of what I know that might help you. I'm very open and willing to do any of that and all of that. So if you want to contact me and you feel like this reached you to a point, of course, feel free. I'm not gonna say no. It is hard getting contact with me because they just send us out to the street and in here. So if I don't respond right away, I promise I will get back to you if you leave a message.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. Y'all see she at work right now. She working.
See?
So I do just want to thank you so much for doing this episode, bringing more light not only to the 6th district, but to officers in general, especially that's working so closely with DV and youth. And, you know, y'all seeing more than other people may see and dealing with different situations. So I just thank you. And again, make sure y'all share this video and let me know your thoughts. Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye. Nice meeting you.
Bye.